Mercedes have witnessed a massive turn in fortunes in Austin, and while it seems like the disqualification ruined the positivity in the team, the situation is quite the contrary. James Allison has provided some fresh information regarding the pace of the W14 in the upcoming race in Mexico, and it's exactly what Hamilton would love to hear after having an almost 2-year drought when it comes to passing the checkered flag first. Will the Brit finally be able to win a race for the first time since 2021 in Jeddah? And if so, what's the plan for Mercedes to do so? It seems like Mercedes have finally found their way around the W14, and more importantly, this is setting a solid foundation for 2024 as well, when Allison and Wolff believe that the Silver Arrows are going to be much more competitive than they are right now. Of course, it's worth mentioning that Red Bull did not develop their car ever since the summer break, and Verstappen suffered from brake issues, but that doesn't take away the progress that Mercedes made back in Austin with the latest floor upgrade. This is something that has been praised by both Hamilton and Ruseel, and apart from them, the technical director of the team, James Allison, has brought a lot of hope for the remainder of the calendar, a promise in which it seems that Mercedes will definitely enjoy a lot, considering the fact they have a streak that is still alive, winning at least one race from 2013 onwards. That streak has been kept alive by Ruseel last year in Interlagos. And while Mercedes still feel that they have a massive chance in Brazil, the upcoming race in Mexico has been dubbed one of the best venues to which Hamilton and Ruseel will have a legitimate chance to win and make a solid lead ahead of Ferrari for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. We must also not forget the fact that Hamilton is still in the fight for P2 in the Drivers' Championship as well, and while that difference has been deepened by his disqualification in Austin, the hopes are very high that the number 44 can actually win a race after the long drought. Elaborating on this, Allison went on to say, "We have 4 quite different races coming up. We've got Mexico first, high altitude, thin air, a track where the asphalt is quite different to the ones that we've just been at. As long as we can keep the car cool there in the thin air of the Mexico track, then I think we will be pretty decent. The corners suit us and the pace of the car should be good." Of course, the disqualification is a significant blow. It's a miserable feeling. It hurts and everybody here feels it. Everybody is upset, embarrassed to a degree as well, because we absolutely don't like being on the wrong side of the rules and just lamenting the lost points. What goes heavily in this matter is that Mercedes are very hopeful of the upgrades they brought, and while it seems like the F1 media wants to slam Hamilton's initial P2 finish and relate it to the illegality of the W14, that's not the actual mood within the Mercedes camp. The team is very much ensured that the upgrades worked their wonders, and the fact that Hamilton was able to fight with Norris on a clean manner goes to show that there is still a lot more to discover out of the W14, but that first step has been made and it may be just enough for Mercedes to win a race. And it's not only Allison who feels like the car is in a very good operating window. Lewis Hamilton has spoken about this as well. While it was more or less impossible to hear something good from his side other than the team needs to work desperately hard in order to bring the car in the right optimal window, and after Austin, we've finally heard it from Hamilton that the upgrades are working wonders. Elaborating on this, he made sure to claim himself as Verstappen's most likely counterpart to win a race in the remainder of the 4 races, expressing a strong wish and belief that the fights will be much closer than they were until now, something similar to Austin. Talking about this, Hamilton said, "I think that the step that we were able to take this weekend has given me a little bit more confidence in the car to throw it into the corners. So yeah, it was positive. I really enjoyed driving around this track. There are still some of the fundamental issues that we're having with the car, which won't change until next year. But it was really positive, as I said, to feel that step that we've taken. Maybe it was only a 10th upgrade, for example, but there's at least a 10th of confidence, for example, that it gave me. So it's quite interesting what you see when you have a double knock-on effect. However, the statement that changed the notion among the F1 fans is that Hamilton has started to feel that there's an opportunity to fight Max for the championship in 2024. And on top of that, he feels like there's quite a strong chance that he'll be able to win at least one of the remainder of the 4 races on the calendar, with the next 2 being more suiting of the W14 than the RB19. Hamilton won't have that many chances, so he needs to capitalise as much as possible on the upcoming situation, which is why his confidence has never been higher. Elaborating on this, on a further note, Hamilton said, "We have to have the package, not just the car, but we also have to operate better in our pit stops. I want to fight for the championship. I want to fight with Max. I think I'm one of the only drivers who can do it. I'm praying every day that we will close the gap to Red Bull and will hit the ground running." Obviously, 2022 was one of the worst years for Hamilton and his team, and even with such a troublesome car that exited out of production, the second half of the season still showed massive progress, one that enabled Mercedes to have a 1-2 finish in Brazil. According to Hamilton, this is the race his team is desperately looking forward to. As he elaborated, "Well, look, we had Brazil last year. All of a sudden we were competitive, and towards the end again, I think we developed really well, and we weren't necessarily the quickest, but we were closer at the end of the year. But yeah, I think this is definitely the most positive I felt this year, but in general, it's not been a terrible year." Just knowing the work that's happening and being in constant contact with the head of Aero and the team back, I feel like everyone is really on their toes and really ready to go. And apart from Hamilton, who's been nothing short of amazing in the previous race, Mercedes feels like the Mexico GP will definitely fit the car much more than we're originally anticipating. This is a matter that's been discussed by Allison, who, while slammed the disqualification process and labelled it as one of the most embarrassing things that happened to the team and how they need to be more accountable for that, he said that it had no influence whatsoever in the next couple of races. Elaborating on this, Allison said, "Give it a day or two and the result from Austin will start to wane and be replaced by the much happier feeling, which is we moved our car forward in Austin, and that's hard to do. But we did it, and we did it by a decent amount. And with 4 races left in the championship, 4 races where I am sure we will stay on the right side of the skid block rules." The initial feeling hurt, disappointment and frustration will pass to be replaced by the sunny optimism of knowing that the car looked bright on this upgrade package and we've got 4 more races to show what we can do with it. Obviously, the intra-team battle between Hamilton and Ruseel has not settled down, and while the hopes are that Hamilton will be the favourite to win the race, it's safe to assume that Ruseel won't just back down, and the side effect of having 2 very competitive drivers in the same team is that both of them will push outside of their margins in order to score their first win, so there is little to no margin for any mistake from either of them. A situation that was present in Qatar and that almost left both of the drivers without points. This is why Toto Wolff has been instructed to remind both of its drivers that the big picture plan is still in the game, and his team has a 22-point lead in the Constructors' Championship that it needs to keep alive for the remainder of the season compared to Ferrari. Do you think that Mercedes has a legitimate chance to win the race in Mexico? And if so, do you think that Hamilton will be the better driver from the Brackley-based squad? Let us know in the comments below.